What are you doing out here? Can I ask you about your family? Can everyone in the Pool family talk to animals? What can you tell me about Compton Pool? Are you worried about Maligula? I have some questions about pancakes. Why didn't you just go order some pancakes at the cafeteria? What's your recipe? What sort of substitutions? Can I have a pancake? Where'd you learn how to make pancakes?
Prison.
Welcome to Between the Joysticks. Press start and then we're off. Nick and John, they've got the sauce. Breaking news and some hot takes. Even if there's some mistakes, Nick is captaining the ship, while John gives thoughts straight from the hip. But when their powers combine, we're all in for a hell of a time. Between the Joysticks, it's the best. Up to 6 things they will address. Tell all your friends and settle in. Between the Joysticks now begins.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 105 of the video game podcast Between the Joysticks. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by my co-host, John Chan. John Chan, it's been 2 weeks since we last recorded.
Well, nobody wants to come out with news or anything to talk about. So what are we supposed to do? They don't think of us, beloved
Play video
joystickers.
games, catch up on our backlogs.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Go to your son's baseball tournaments, stay at work super late.
Yeah, those are not good things.
No. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks, so I don't have anything to talk about. Do you?
I do. I
good.
do. Because I think I want to bring a reoccurring segment here, and I'm just going to surprise you with it every time. Is like,
Great.
what is the internet drama this week in video games?
I like that.
2 weeks
That's
ago.
that's a topic you'll never run short of,
Right.
of things to talk about.
2 weeks ago, it was Concord's Steam numbers. So do you have any inkling of what it could be this week?
This week?
From the past week or so?
I'm trying to think of something that dropped also. I mean, First Descendant was there, but that's kind of come and gone. I don't have any. I don't have any.
And again, these are internet controversies, so they're very minuscule. They're not really like big deals.
Kamala Harris.
Well, that's an internet controversy, but for other
Sure.
reasons.
All right, hit me with it.
All right, this is a visual one. The controversy this is a new character to Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah, Mrs. Freeze. Yeah, I did see this image, and it immediately go, I don't care. So I'm
Yes.
glad to see a bunch of try-hard neckbeards are fired up about it.
Yeah, not only is she not attractive, she's also a lesbian.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
What is that for?
Suicide Squad.
That's for Suicide Squad?
That's the newest character.
All right. Okay. Maybe it'll turn it around,
Yeah. So obviously people don't like her look.
Yeah.
And obviously she's woke. She's a lesbian.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I'll just want to, if I was going to play that game, I'll be the guy that's over in the corner shooting bad guys. You can be the guy that's, oh, she's got short hair. Ooh, she looks too butch. All right. To each their own, my friend.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being that way? Like that you
No.
really live your life to the degree of Rocksteady's graphic design team is getting your panties in a twist?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
sucks.
again,
I know it's not.
controversy again is monetization, so people will always have stupid arguments about stupid things because 100,000 people will probably watch some stupid idiot's video about why that character sucks.
Oh yeah, easily.
So
Sweet Baby Ink, touch that. Brr.
yeah, exactly. Do you want to explain that comment or no?
Sweet Baby Ink. Honestly, it's like I feel like I probably should know more about it than I do, but it's such an annoying topic that I never even really researched it. But it's a firm whose whole goal as a company is to basically
Ruin video games.
to some. I mean, I'm not championing them by any means, but like they'll go in and they'll make sure shit is like PC, right, and that like everything is culturally appropriate and all sides and all factors and everybody is accounted for in a completely unwoke type way or whatever you want to call it.
Right,
That's about
right.
as best as I can explain it
Right.
before me going.
So they're a company that the internet has latched on to be the most evil company in the world because people don't want to worry about things that actually matter. So
Yeah. Yeah, and like in fairness too, this is a company that's worked with on like God of War Ragnarok and Spider-Man and like all these like every game everybody's played a game that they've touched. So But yeah, people laser focused on it. I think also it's just because their name is what it is. I think that's part of it, honestly. Like if you didn't have such a, I don't know, left-wing name. I don't even know how to talk about this shit anymore, man. I'm so tired.
Yeah, I know. Who has the energy for it?
Also,
all to
just
keep
a heads
with
up,
it?
Nick. I am running on fumes. I have no notes prepared. You're going to get either a crazy John or an on-point John. I don't know which. But
Well, okay.
we're letting fate and God.
The listeners
decide.
know what it's like to work with John all the time.
Yeah.
John's unprepared.
Well,
and
most of
I'm
our
gonna bring
listeners
it.
do work with me.
All right, so let's get into the show then, because we got a lot to talk about. This is how the show works. Nick brings up to 6 things to talk about. It can be a news item. We got 4 news items this week. At least the news is keeping us busy. We have a topic here. We're going to be talking about how do you measure a video game success? It could be a game we're playing. We got lots of games to talk about. Stellar Blade, Diablo 4, Shadow of the Erdtree, and much more. It can be an email from you, the listener. You can email us at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. You can DM us on Twitter at joystickspod.
DM.
Follow us there for updates on the show.
Updates.
Or you can comment on our YouTube page at Between the Joysticks. Any of those things, we can bring it and talk about it. And like I said, John doesn't bring anything, so
I bring the charm.
I'm
my
bringing
friend.
everything.
I'm the talent. We've
Yeah.
established this.
right. All right, so let's open up with some news. Again, as I mentioned, 4 news items from last week. The first one is finally Sony is doing the right thing on a hardware standpoint, and that's releasing limited edition controllers to their franchises.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
We first learned of Concord getting a limited edition controller that will be priced at $84.99 and launching when the game comes out. And, that is a pretty sweet controller. Look it on Twitter at JoysticksPod if you want to see an image of it. But then they followed it up with also an Astrobot limited edition controller. That one is running $79.99 and it will also launch when Astrobot launches on September 6th. John, what do you think of this?
Well, you messaged me over the weekend, right? And I think we've both kind of corrected a little bit on this, where I saw the Concord controller and it's very busy, right? So at first it's kind of like, oh, what the hell is that? And you kind of look at it a little more and like it's got a certain aesthetic to it, right? Much like the game does. So I've kind of turned around on that one a little bit, but my comment to you was, if anybody is a fan of American Psycho or seen that movie, there's a famous meme about business cards, right? Like, where they're all showing each other just boring ass business cards, but they're just, oh my God, the eggshell, so the code. So I was like, great. Now let's see Astrobot's controller. And they did it. They actually did it. This morning they were able to show that off. And that one looks fucking dope, man. That's the one. That's the one that I want to get my hands on. I know you do. Internet comments seem to be like incredibly universally praising how it looks. So what I will say is if this intrigues you, pre-order it. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to get it for a while, and maybe you might not even ever give it. I don't know how limited they're going to go with the limited controller angle, because like you can still get the God of War Ragnarok one for $70. You can still get the Spider-Man one, that kind of faded to red.
Right.
I'm seeing that for $50 on eBay. But like I think people are going to, especially that Astrobot one, really, really go hard at it. So, it's.
Yeah, it's
Thank you, Sony. Do more.
yeah, great color choices. It's got eyes on the touchpad, the Astrobot eyes. So
I was reading a little. I think there's like, if you notice, like there's a lot of kind of seams in it that give it kind of a robotic look to it. I think it's designed after the way that the controller like detaches in the game, like how it's like this little section flips out and forms wings, and so a lot of little touches to it. It's not. But I like that. Like the Concord one, again, I think it's a nice controller, but it is, in fact, it's a little too busy for me, where I would not want to drop 85. But the Astrobot one, it's like you look at it, immediately know what it is. It's clean. It's a little minimalistic, but has the right touches in the right spots, and it's $5 cheaper for some reason. So I'll try to get that one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I hope this is a trend going forward. Do you think I would kill for a Wolverine controller?
Yeah,
I would kill.
Go on Xbox, man. You can get the butt controller, even though I think that's a sweepstakes one.
Yeah, they're not officially selling that one.
Yeah,
but
well, I know. I mean, that's been the dream. We've all, you could get, if they just had some sort of fucking controller lab where you can get a yellow controller with your blue buttons and whatever. But yeah, I'm I'm surprised there's not some sort of Deadpool or Wolverine thing. I mean, dude, that movie's been marketed like nothing,
Right.
nothing else I've ever seen, and I wouldn't be surprised to see. I don't know. Maybe when Wolverine comes out, when that drops, and I'm sure you'll see some Deadpool shit in there at this point, if it's not already done.
Oh, in the game?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know, because by the time the game comes out, it will be years. That's at least 2 years from now. So
Yeah, and you comic book people still talk about fucking Captain America picking up Thor's hammer. So,
but if they did a limited edition controller for Marvel's or Insomniac's Wolverine game, man, that would be dope.
That'd be cool.
Be sweet.
And like I'm gonna say right now they do. I bet they do. Because you put a little X, put the little X logos on like the little hands, and I don't know. You could figure it out.
Because up to this point, they did the LeBron James controller and the God of War Ragnarok. There is
And the Spider-Man one.
Oh yeah, the Spider-Man one. So 3 up to this point, and then we get 2 weeks apart.
Yeah, I mean, the other first-party releases, it's a shocking low amount probably for this generation. Really, besides, you got Returnal, you got Horizon.
Yeah.
Ratchet.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a couple other ones, but yeah, I mean, it's really kind of hasn't been a whole lot.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's pretty cool.
Sweet.
And topical. They announced it today.
Yeah.
Look at us on top of the news.
Also happening today is our next news story, and that's the Xbox 360 store is officially closed. The Xbox 360 store, launched when the console launched in November of 2005. It really was, at the time, Microsoft's ace in the hole. Like if you remember the PS3 store, it didn't even launch when the console launched, and then it was very messy for a very long time. It was great that Microsoft brought it, and this is where we got like Xbox Live Arcade and the rise of digital games, and it's almost like the end of an era.
Yeah. Xbox and Microsoft have always been a services first type of company. And so, yeah, I mean, this was right in that sweet spot of where Xbox Live functionality was incredible compared to what was over on the PlayStation side, even though you had to pay for it. People were happy to do so because it looked good. It ran smooth. You had the game store there. And then you also had Sony's fucking outage, I feel like, during this time, too, that really kind of allowed Microsoft to keep getting a little bit more leg up on the internet side, right? Just where it comes to those services and what they do with the Microsoft, obviously, repertoire that they have on their back end. But I never had a 360, so I don't have any like personal attachments to it. But I do remember being a little bit jealous. There wasn't a lot I was jealous about at that time. I wasn't as involved into the game industry as I was. I feel like if I was a 35-year-old that played games like I do now in like 2008, I'd probably be like, where's my Mass Effect? Where's my Halo? Where's my Gears of War? But I was just a happy little kid playing Call of Duty and Little Big playing on the other end. But it was frustrating knowing how good the matchmaking and just everything that came from outside of a game playing standpoint with the Xbox service. So it's the end of the era, man. 19 years is incredible that it lasted that long.
Yeah, I remember when it launched, indie games couldn't be more than 200 megs. And everything you were required to have a demo for anything you put on the store at the time. Yeah. And that's all. And I remember it was a big deal when they upped it. It was like, oh, no, you can have whatever file size you want. Like, it's crazy how far we've come.
Yeah, and I would give Xbox a ton of credit, like you already mentioned it, but to really kickstart the indie space, right? The Xbox Live Arcade, that's where we got Limbo and Castle Crashers and Braid, right? These games that kind of came out of nowhere, where all of a sudden people are talking about them. They're smaller, bite-sized experiences, but that wouldn't have gotten a lot of play on IGNs or podcasts. Well, not really podcasts back then, but the IGNs and the magazines and things. These games that you'd probably glance over. Xbox allowed them an avenue to thrive and succeed, and I think that kind of led into the indie boom that we're still, fortunately, I think, kind of going through, where it's almost a more viable space for people to break into the industry and create and make the things that they want to make, as opposed to just kind of the next big thing for another big company. So, we don't talk too positive about Xbox too much, and so, but this was an era where they were doing all the right things. They did everything right, and so hopefully we can see them return to form in some way, shape, or form like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have much more to say on it. It's just it's wild to think about, like the 2005.
Yeah, I wonder, do you think it's interesting. I should look into a little more about like the backwards compatibility angle of Xbox, because I thought it's everything, but it is interesting because, I was talking to you earlier about it. Like, I wanted to get Super Mario Galaxy 2. I had the urge to play that like a couple months ago, and so I went on to my Wii U. Yes, I have a Wii U. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just buy it digitally. I was like, nope, that thing got shut down a while ago. So I was like, oh damn, I have to now go on eBay, buy a $30 copy, hope it's not scratched.
Right.
So it's like, I wonder if we'll see an uptick in Xbox games, but if they have the backwards compatibility thing, like, probably won't affect it too much. But
I'm sure there's quite a few games that are lost.
Yeah.
At least to get them legally this way. So, yeah. Wild stuff.
Au revoir. Au revoir. See, it's because the Olympics are in Paris.
Oh, okay.
Au revoir.
All right. Our next two news stories are industry related. On Friday, July 26th, video game voice actors went on strike. And this comes from Sarah Parvini of the AP. And this is why they went on strike. SAG-AFTRA has said some of the key issues include securing wages that keep up with inflation.
Me too, bud. Sorry.
Protections around exploitive uses of artificial intelligence and safety precautions that account for the strain of physical performances as well as vocal stress.
That's a fair one.
Union negotiators told the Associated Press that they made gains in bargaining over wages and job safety, but that the game studios refused to provide an equal level of protection from the dangers of AI for all of our members.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm not surprised. This is going to be an ongoing conversation for a long time.
Right.
Right, I think is one of the biggest takeaways that I get from this. I'm always for people fighting for what they want, right? I'm for people feeling like they're being undervalued and holding the people responsible's feet to the fire, right? I don't think there's really any corporations or companies out there that truly do have the best interests of their people. Very rare exception. There are some, but very rare exception. And so I can't say if I'm mad about that at all. I think it's probably not as big of a deal as it seemed out of the get-go, right? It's funny. All the first articles we all saw pop up was like, don't worry, Grand Theft Auto 6 is fine. It's like, okay, that's whatever. Like they'll pay people whatever they have to pay to get that game done. But it was an inevitable thing to happen, right? We saw every time AI is sniffed out in any game, even if it's the most minor thing. I don't remember what game it was, but somebody used AI to generate an album art cover for a song in a game or something, and it made a news story, and it was a big thing. And it's like, does that really affect people's jobs and whatnot?
I believe a Call of Duty skin is AI generated.
Yeah,
and another
and so it's like every single time any bit of it gets used, it makes noise. So I get wanting to get ahead of it and really just kind of establish and I'd be interested to talk to some of these people, because I feel like if you're going at this saying we don't want AI in games at all, good luck. That's an unfortunate world we live in now, I think. I'm not pro AI really, but it's going to be used in certain ways. It just it has to be used appropriately.
Right, not ripping off people's art or voices and
never to use it. Never to use for art. It should never be used to substitute a creative mind. Right, you can use it to fill in, fill in shrubs or trees or rocks or vegetation, things like that. I'm kind of okay with that if it's, again, used in a cost-saving measure. But if you start to branch into the voices are now being used with that, we don't need to hire people, so we can reduce costs, and all the art assets we can just run through an AI filter. We're a long way from that happening, because we can still kind of tell that immediately. But as the technology gets better, it improves, it's going to become more and more and more of a conversation. So, right now maybe it's the actors, in the future it'll be developers. I don't know, but it's important to at least start this conversation now. So sorry, I'm rambling. I'll let
you're good.
I'll let you get in.
I just wanted to go back to your Grand Theft Auto 6 comment because it does not affect any game that was developed before the strike. So any of those existing contracts for any of those games, they still will honor those. It's just going forward.
Yeah, wasn't it September 2023 was like the cutoff date? I thought I read something about that, or am I mistaken?
I don't know.
Yeah, let me look it up real quick because I think it was I think the line in the sand, right? Because this is a union organization, right? This isn't just like 6,000 people that decide we're going on strike, right? It's like, you talk to the union, you get the union approval, you set the boundaries, the guidelines. They have funds in place to make sure that these people get paid, at least to be able to get by while the company's not paying them. So I think I read something saying any game that started development prior to September 2023 will maintain or will be fine, but anything that got going after that is an issue. We're going to fact check that live here because I might also just be spouting nonsense, but I'm pretty sure I saw that.
No, September 2023 was the last strike.
That was the last strike? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if I need to be corrected, we'll correct myself next week.
Will you?
No. No.
But yeah, I mean, AI is like as you said, is a tricky subject because it pulls from a lot of online, not free use assets, and to generate their at least art assets, and and we haven't even talked about our intro song now. That is AI generated.
Oh yeah.
Like it's pretty wild what they can do, and I mean even John and I, we have over hundreds of hours of us talking. Someone could make an AI character NPC in any game using our voices. It's Wild West out there right now.
Do it. Get us exposure. I'm just kidding. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to say up front that like I am pro all of this stuff, but I am also a realist and know that when companies and the people in power, those people who love to stay in power and stay rich and stay all that stuff, when they get their hands on little tools to help reduce costs or whatever, they're going to go for it. And it's just, do we try to regulate it and mitigate the damage that can be done from it? I mean, that's the important side. Like, again, I don't think there's a future where AI doesn't touch games, but just do it in a way that doesn't cost jobs, doesn't just cut costs, and actually has a creative level of input to get the product that you want, not just to save money. I guess that's an easy way to say it.
And you got to protect Troy Baker.
Yeah.
That man.
Oh, he'll be fine.
He's
You don't have to. You got to worry about the other guys, Nick.
Well, I just don't want anyone stealing that beautiful voice of his.
That's true.
Or Ashley Johnson, or Laura Bailey, all the Nolan North, all our favorite voice actors.
I mean, there's
Matt Mercer,
fucking like Lance Reddick, right? Like poor Lance, right? R.I.P. That's a what Next Horizon game. What do we do? And there's arguments to be made against, like if you go to the actor's family, right? If they didn't have anything, if they didn't have anything written in a will that's like, don't use my voice in the future. But if you get the approval from the family and I'm not an actor, I don't collect money in any which way. But if I was and like I died and I could continue to provide for my family based on somebody using it, like I'd probably say like, yeah, go for it. So it's like anything. It needs to be highly case by case.
Because I think that's what they did with Darth Vader's voice actor. They paid
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, they paid him out so they can continue to use it.
Yeah, and I think that's I would imagine any actor contract getting negotiated from this day forward probably does have some clause in there about that, and I think we'll probably see that as celebrities start to die, X, Y, and Z, right? Looking at you, Clint Eastwood, you beautiful man. Not that he's involved in video games in the least, but yeah, I'm
very distinctive.
I'm gonna make a Western video game with I can use Clint Eastwood's AI voice to do it. Like, yeah, and that's when you start to get into these dumb areas, and so, how do we know how long the last one lasted?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. I don't think it was. It was probably in that 6-month range, 4 to 6 months. But
yeah,
this is why I like indie games, Nick. I don't worry. I'm just gonna keep playing indie games. You don't need to. I like games that animal well, right? not that that's a bad example because I didn't even play it, but games like that, or
Right.
you know, where you can get through with stuff like that.
Yeah. But I don't think we'll see the impact of this at all. We probably won't even notice. Cause
Did you know James Earl Jones is still alive?
Yeah.
I'm an old man looking at you, James Earl Jones. 93.
All right, let's move. Speaking of unions, let's move into our next story. We have two studios with Microsoft that have both formed unions. The first one up is World of Warcraft at Blizzard. Over 500 employees unionizing. They call this a wall-to-wall union. That it's not just like QA or programmers. It's everything. Designers, engineers, artists, QA, everything and more are joining the Communications Workers of America. Was announced last Wednesday. And then even before that, 200 developers at Bethesda Game Studios, the studio behind Starfield and Fallout. Same thing, wall-to-wall union with, again, developers, artists, and all that. And they're also joining the Communications Workers of America. What do we make of this, John? Two very big studios.
Phil Spencer rules with an iron fist is what happened. No, I what do I make of it? It's a good question. I think it's another one of those things that they've probably been trying to do for a long, long time. It's not. I don't think it's a thing where it's like, oh, we joined Xbox, they're evil, let's unionize, right? If anything, I would say they're probably a more lenient type of ownership to allow that type of thing to happen, would be my guess.
Yep.
Anytime these companies get, if they're anti-union, which almost every company is, I know Amazon's workers tried to do it, and they keep getting just, I don't know, fired or whatever, Bezos
Right.
doesn't give a fuck. But I would find it hard to believe that Microsoft wants to do anything but to make these people happy. And if they had aspirations to join a union or whatever, they're probably like, look, okay, let us be involved with it. Let us, I don't know, make sure that the stipulations and guidelines that you put in aren't too crazy. But yeah, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it, because as I'm sure you'll get to in a second, the other one very closely attached, right? Like you said they were both Microsoft studios. Yeah. So I kind of take it more of that, if I'm being honest, that like they probably have a decent leadership team, at least from. Oh, wait, let me take a step back. They don't really have a decent leadership team when it comes to making video games, but when it comes to that side of it, just making sure people get what they want and be happy and stay here and stuff like that, I could see them just saying, yeah, go for it. It's fine.
Okay. So you don't think it's like a response to like crunch or anything like that?
I don't think so, no. I mean, it might have been in the past. It might be a protective thing for the future, right? Where like the people of Blizzard's like, we don't ever want to go down that road again. But I don't think they're actively working on anything that they need to worry about crunch with. I don't think that Microsoft is an especially crunch-focused team. Just look at their output. If they were, I feel like we wouldn't have had a year and a half with no first-party games. Yeah. So I kind of think it's a good thing. I think that, we'll see. We'll see, like, do more teams start to go down this route, or is this just two off ones that just
happened to happen in the same week?
Yep. Yeah, that wanted to do it, but yeah, I mean, it's only going to happen more and more and more and more, I think. Also, just while I'm looking at it, from gamesindustry.biz, I did find the games in development prior to September 2023 exempt from setting after strike. So I'm not full of shit all the time.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of my gut instinct of it now. And also the other thing, people are really bad at keeping their mouth shut. I feel like if it was due to something nefarious, one of those Blizzard employees, would probably have said something or tweeted something or put something on Facebook or there would have been some wind of like, oh, the work culture.
Well, I mean, we know the culture at Blizzard was really bad. We know that from before Microsoft bought them, that all those stories came out. But
yeah, and that's why I think like if anything, it's like when they joined the team, they're like, we want to unionize, and Microsoft's are like, all right, Like, that's fine. Like, just because we don't need more bad PR, right? Hey, we just bought Activision Blizzard. We shut down their, so it's like you need to make sure you have some positive PR spins. And when they purchased Activision Blizzard, it was like lots of negative spins after lots of negative spins. So don't fan the flames,
Well,
let it die down.
I'm impressed. I didn't think we were going to have much to say on that one, but
I told you, no prep is my thing, man. I don't know.
just off the cuff.
Yeah, let's go.
Off the hip, like our opening song says. Yeah, that's all I got for news. So
no thoughts for you? Do you agree with me?
it's hard to say. Like,
Yeah.
I just like I don't know. Is it a response to AI too? I don't know. It's it's just interesting timing.
I mean, yeah, it's just overall studios, developers, not just in the Microsoft family, but all around the entire industry. They've been, it's a very liberal industry, right? It's a very left-leaning industry. Unions are left-leaning. It is what it is. I'm not making a political statement about it, but just facts that, like, there's always has been teams wanting to unionize, whether they could or not. I would not expect to see. I would expect to see more of these happening.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next topic, and that is measuring video game success. Now, we've talked about this many times on this show because it's impossible to know because we do not know video game budgets or expectations. We usually get, when they talk on like earnings reports, talking about how well a game did. We know like Suicide Squad was a big letdown, right? Like $200 million letdown. But for the most part, we just don't know, especially from a financial standpoint. Obviously, it's easy to say from a critical standpoint. If a game's reviewed 90 and above, that's you made it. You did it. That's a success.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start this out because of Concord specifically.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, a couple weeks ago, the internet controversy was its numbers on Steam, right? I think it only did like 3,000 at peak on Steam over that open beta weekend. So people are calling it a failure and all that. So I want to ask you, John, you're a CEO at Sony, and you got this launch of your first live service game, Concord. What would it be a success to you for Concord coming up here?
I think for Concord, it's a two-pronged approach where, there is no world that this does, fastest selling PlayStation IP, sold 4 million at launch, right? That's not going to happen, unfortunately. So the bread and butter of Sony, what they care about more than anything else, especially with their first parties, is the review scores. I think that is something that they're going to have their eye on, and I would probably set that benchmark at 85.
Wow,
which seems high. I know.
That is high.
I have a feeling this game's going to review well. I think that the people who need to look at it from an objective viewpoint are going to come away with some pretty positive thoughts and things to say about that. So I don't expect 10s. But I don't expect 6s. I don't expect anything like that. I expect, those 7, 8, and 9s. Now, does that fall on the lower end of the 7, 8s, and 9s, where you're looking at like a 77? In that case, Sony goes, no, that's not a success. But if they can at least nail some of the quality,
I'm just saying you.
Oh, I know. Well, I'm speaking the royal we right now. So me, 85% is where I look for that. Now, again, I know the game is not going to sell crazy amounts out of the gate. With the $40 price point, it's going to be a slow burn. I think you look at just your base average amount of concurrence over like a weekly or a monthly period. I don't know what that is. What is the more, I don't know, beneficial number to look at, but it's going to be a long, drawn out thing, right? If we can maintain 10,000 players, I don't know if that's a lot or not a lot. I honestly don't know. I'm sorry, I don't watch Twitch. But if we can maintain whatever that number is, right? 7,000 players, 8,000 players consistently, right? You got your people these are people that bought the game. They're already invested in a little bit. If we can maintain, right? We have to retain them, right? So whether that's the vignettes that get people to care about the characters, I think that unfortunately will be a lost cause in the long term. It's going to be about, can we create that positive game and allow that small group of people to stick with it, to at least allow word of mouth get to the point where we can put this thing on PlayStation Extra to bump up the player base. But I don't think it costs the team a lot of money. I'm sorry, I don't think it costs me a lot of money. I don't think that we need to throw in the towel within the first month if it doesn't catch fire. We need to support this team for at least 6 months to a year. I think you give it probably about that amount of a runway. But because this is a team we just bought also, right? This is a team that we saw this game, we bought them, we gotta give it a fair shake.
Boy, your answer is so long.
Yeah, well, I'm an analyst.
So okay, let's. So you're saying you said 85, so critically 85.
Yeah.
What would you want as far as first month sales?
Oh, I don't know, man. First month sales, 500,000.
Really?
Yeah, probably. I mean, again, they're not dumb. They have bean counters, right? They have metrics and shit.
Yeah, they have forecast, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, 500,000.
You think it's that low, huh?
Yeah,
For a $40 game.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't think this game is not going to make them their money back initially. It's not going to be a make or break based on how big it takes off immediately. It's going to be, can we maintain? And I think that's if they can get 500,000, 100, $1 million, maybe that'd be great. I'm sure they'd be thrilled with that. But this is a first-party game. We don't need to give anybody a percent cut of that. It's probably, again, I don't know how many people work at Firewalk. It's probably a small team. I can't imagine the budget is too high. So I think the name of the game for this one is quality game out of the gate. Be okay with not crazy blockbuster typical Sony first party numbers and maintain success. I think that's the kind of recipe that they need. Again, going back to our point a couple weeks ago, like some sort of, if you don't have it out of the gate, a new game mode that really just keeps people coming back. If they can keep people, like, even if it's not, okay, we're not at 50,000 every single day, but like we can get these little spikes here and there while maintaining that base, I think you'd be okay.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah. Because I think anybody who's out there is like, yeah, they need to sell 8 million copies, and if they don't, it's a failure. It's like, that's not gonna happen. It's just not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, it's like you usually don't, like, I mean, for context, Spider-Man 2 sold 11 million, so there's no way it's doing those,
exactly
those kind of numbers.
I think 500,000 might not be bad.
No.
I would, again, we don't have the inside info, but like, again, they're setting their expectations in check now. I'm sure they've seen, they might have had in the beginning of the year, before the beta, before all that, be like, oh, we're gonna sell 3 million, and like saw them and be like, all right, maybe not. But like, I don't think there's a sunken cost fallacy or anything here. I don't think that Firewalk is making them, going to bleed them dry. And again, this is still a relatively new initiative, despite it being extremely truncated from the initial, right, we're going to do 12 of these into like 6. But I think Helldivers kind of showed them, it's like we can think about these in a little bit different kind of way, perhaps, to still find success and not just be we have all the oxygen in the room right now.
Right.
Every release of these that comes out in the future, it's either there's one of two paths. We're going to take oxygen away from somebody else
right.
entirely,
right? Or
maybe we can peel off a little bit of it, maintain, and then just capture some of that money here and there.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, hope that the game becomes some kind of the next big thing. The next Overwatch. I'm sure.
I mean, and Fortnite came out, right? And then it wasn't until 6 months, 10 months later that's like, oh, now this is what we know Fortnite to be. I'm not saying Concord can do that. Of course, that would be, Sony would shit themselves if they could turn something into that. But I think there is an avenue of success for this game that's not your typical. It's not your typical evaluation from a Sony first party standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think if it reviews above an 85, they have to be happy. That's the success alone.
Yeah.
And if it reviews that well, it'll get a decent amount of sales. You're probably right. Those are some those are some good expectations.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is me saying to be happy with it. Do I think it's going to get an 85? It's probably low 80s, is if I were to say, but like that would be like my, oh man, if we can get above an 85, I feel very good about this. If it's in that 80 to 85, be like, okay, not exactly what we expect with Sony first party shit, but this is a new genre, a new adventure for us, a new team.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can make a little lemonade out of some lemons.
Okay. Yeah. I like your answer. I wouldn't go as high as an 85. I think internally I'd be like, you guys get above an 80.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be very happy.
I think most places would feel that way, but Sony first party specifically is just like you're in with the big boys. The lowest one I can think of is probably like Returnal, or was it 86? Horizon's 88s, Ratchet's 88s. God of War is obviously 90s, Last of Us 90s, Spider-Man's high 80s, low 90s. They just don't. Days Gone, that's the one. And look how they think of they hate Days Gone at Sony. They hate it. We're not doing a sequel for that. You didn't break 80. So I think, and that's why it's so interesting about they bought this team after they saw it. That's like such an interesting wrinkle that I would like to know a little bit more about, but we'll never will.
No. And I mean, in a couple of weeks we're gonna know. We're gonna know how well this game does. All right, so we got that. Now let's go back. Now you're at Xbox, right? Mm-hmm. let's say Fable. Fable. What measuring a game success that's on Game Pass? How would you even quantify that?
I mean, the way they seem to quantify it is just based on unique players, right? How many total players or total time spent playing it are. That seems to be how they evaluate any success on Game Pass, because if you're evaluating it on a copy sold basis, you're going to be disappointed every time. I think Xbox has basically abandoned that. Yeah, I don't know, 10 million players in the first week. What Fable seems to have a ton of pull still. You're a Fable guy. I never played them.
Yeah.
But I would say that's the next biggest look forwarded to Xbox first party game coming. I don't think people are super jazzed about indie. I don't think people are super jazzed about Avowed. They might come and they might be fine, but Fable's like the next big one. Do you know how many players Starfield had in like the first 10 days or something?
Well, there's 34 million people on Game Pass.
Okay.
So
I would say probably 10 million. Like that's probably your number. That like if Fable is not pulling 10 million, then you know that the interest isn't there. But this is what goes back to, and I know this is not the topic, but like how do you as that team evaluate the success of a game? The amount of subscriptions added post release. I think that maybe used to be one, but like if Starfield can't move the needle, Fable won't. So the only way to evaluate that one, I feel like, is just how many people logged into Game Pass to play it in that first week. And then a month later, how many of them finished it? Yeah. I don't know why that though that information be like, yeah, we did it. It's like okay, we had to eat the cost of the development. We didn't sell too many, but a lot of people played it, so that's good. So I don't. That's a much harder question. I don't really know.
Because you want subscribers, and then you want subscribers to stay, right? You don't want people paying for a month and then ejecting. You want them to subscribe and then forget or continue to live in the service.
That's going to be Xbox's main issue for forever. The amount of people I've heard saying, I'm just going to subscribe, play the Call of Duty campaign, unsubscribe, or play Hellblade, unsubscribe. That's what I did. Why would you not do that for these big releases if they're single player games? Why wouldn't you?
Well, even I was talking with a friend about Star Wars Outlaws, and he's like, I'm just going to subscribe to Ubisoft for $20, for 20 or 10 or $20, whatever it is, and then he's like, and then I just leave. I play the game and then I leave.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Connor, with EA football, it's like, why not? I mean, that's a little bit. I get that's a little bit different because you're meant to play these games for a long, long time. But like, you could at least pop in, check it out, and be like, no, I'm not going to buy it now. I don't like this.
Right.
Yeah. It's just there's so many little loopholes. So
with Fable though, you're probably looking at like again, probably 85 and above you want at least.
Yeah, that one is definitely critical.
And then,
that one needs to be a high 80s.
And then you want to see a bump
Actually,
in.
I have a different answer. Does it get nominated for Game of the Year? That's my my hope. Would be my hope if I was an Xbox. We need a Game of the Year contender.
Well, then you're looking at like 90s.
Yeah, but they need one, and like, if it's not Fable, then what is it? Or unless if again they're just like, we're not going to compete with Sony on that level. They said it as much when Last of Us 2 came out. They're like, we don't have anything that's as good as this.
Maybe. Well, and Game of the Year is always so tricky because the year your game comes out, if it's the year that It Takes Two won, it's like it's easier. But like when you're looking at like a year when God of War and Red Dead were out and
Hades,
right? Yeah, and then you're looking at next year when you're looking at Grand Theft Auto 6 and Judas and all the other games we just don't know about. It's like maybe it is hard for Fable to get a Game of the Year nod, even at an 89, which would be like fantastic. It might not happen.
Yeah. Yeah, but either way, Starfield settled at what, at 84, 83?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's got to be better than that. 85. All right, 85.
Is there anything else you want to add to the topic? I know, like measuring a game's success for like existing IPs and as opposed to new games, those are always like the success of the next Mario Kart's got to be like tens of millions sold.
I think that's the takeaway, right? Is evaluating a game or studio success is such a moving goalpost. Mario Kart's a great example. Anything less than 75 million, like what are we doing? What are we doing? Why didn't we just stay with Mario Kart 8?
Or even like Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm sure they're like that's got to sell 100 million copies.
Yeah, and it will, and it will. But Stellar Blade had a lot of buzz on the news cycles, which was great for the game, and then it announced it sold 1 million copies, and people were like, "That's it?" It's like, I don't know, man. Like for a niche new IP that critically received pretty well, that's good. So it's just like, while these whales and giants, these Fortnites and Call of Duties have risen up, it's like, it messes with expectations and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just important to kind of.
Well, that's why I hate we started focusing on concurrence, and then people were starting like, oh, look at Starfield's concurrence. It's like almost all single player games they just fall off.
Helldivers 2 fell 90% of its player base. Yeah, it's because it maxed out at like 850K.
Right.
So now it's at 75, and we're gonna So it's.
Right.
But we do live in that age, and that's a big one. If it's a live service game that is meant to go on, concurrence is probably the thing that they look for. If it's single player, a little more.
You expect a huge.
You want that
week.
big burst up front, and then obviously, I think critical reception is just an obvious thing for everything. Every game wants to be received well, but I think Sony. It looks for those 90s. Xbox probably is just like, if we can get in the 80s, that's pretty good for us.
Right.
Ubisoft's like, as long as we're not in the 60s, it's cool. But yeah, it's good. It's good topic to keep kind of revisiting as a game comes out, and like, what's the goal?
I'm just curious about
what's
Concord.
Astrobot's goal.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
That game you and I are hyped for beyond belief, but like, is that going to be one where it's like, yeah, Astrobot sold 2 million. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. And like, we're going to be sitting here probably like, yeah, it's great. But, for people who look at Grand Theft Auto sales numbers and Minecraft sales numbers and, 2 million, that's a shoot in the head. Put it out back. I don't, and don't you shoot my Astrobot in the head. Yeah, what a sad image.
Again, because we just don't, we know nothing. We don't know a lot of times we don't know studio size, budget, all the marketing, that gets thrown in there. So it's really hard to tell, when does a game, how much does it have to sell to be profitable? We just don't know.
Firewalk apparently has 169 employees, so not super tiny, not super huge.
Right.
And yeah, who knows how much of the cost Sony absorbed even, because I'm sure the game was in development before they bought them. So I don't know. No clip, get on it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just one of those discussions that will always frustrate me because nobody really knows. and everyone's got even us.
We
you know,
need to
talking out of our
find.
ass.
We need to find a C-suite friend in a video game company that we can just. Like,
Well,
you don't have
even-
to give us your inside information. Just tell us how all this works.
Well, then you'll have like Square Enix, who's like the worst. They
Oh,
always
yeah.
like everything's underperforming. You know, $3 million for Final Fantasy 16. Oh, that's nothing. Like,
Yeah.
and you're just like, come on, guys.
Right.
Like,
Did they turn a profit or not? I will say, in that specific example, that does seem low. I thought Final Fantasy 16 was going to be like a 10 millioner, and I was like, no, I guess not.
on one platform.
Right. I know. That's when you start to like kind of evaluate the other parts of it. It's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But it's just Final Fantasy, Zelda, Mario, Pokemon. Like those are the I do lump Final Fantasy into that top tier.
Right. Well, and again, that's another factor is like a console install base. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's easier for a game on Switch to hit numbers because there's over 120 million
And
Switches
that's the whole
out there.
reason that Call of Duty is still coming to PS4 this year.
Right.
It's like, I mean,
So, yeah. Yeah. Well, again, we'll be talking about Concord in just a few weeks. What is your prediction on that score? Just
I'm
going
going
to
to say 82.
Okay.
I'm going to say 82.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be
You can, I'll give you. You can take the higher or the lower.
lower.
81. I'm saying 81. All right.
Yeah, I think it'll skirt the low.
It's been a long time since we did a pop bet or a pizza bet. You want? How about Supino's slice of Supino's pizza bet?
Sure, whatever.
All right.
All right. So if it's 81 or below, and then 82 and above.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yep.
All right. So our next topic is just pretty much catching up on the games we've been playing over the last few weeks. I know, John, you have exciting news involving Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Will you share it with the class?
I beat that motherfucker. Well, the final boss.
Yeah.
I beat him. I was gonna say his name. I beat Shadow of the Erdtree. It was everything I could hope it to have been. I still honestly could go back to it and continue to uncover more areas and whatnot, because I will say I probably just probably rushed through it a little, I would say, but that's just where my headspace is at right now. I'm just not, and without the trophies like the base game had, unfortunately it doesn't continue.
Right.
It doesn't push me into the directions and the places I need to be. But what a game! What a DLC! It probably gets the DLC of my life award.
Okay, so
don't-
worth the price.
Yeah, worth the
Okay.
price for sure. I don't think the discussion around the difficulty and all that, we talked about that on the show, was as warranted as it seemed to be, although the bosses, especially the last boss, there's a dialogue happening about it. Is it the hardest FromSoft boss ever?
Oh.
I haven't fought in the final boss of Sekiro. That's the other guy that they usually say, but in terms of an aggressive Souls boss, this guy was a no joke. One of the most aggressive bosses I've ever faced. His second phase especially was it did one of those, like the first time I got him to the second phase, I was like, all right, feeling good, like let's go. And then he just like raises his like spear into the sky, and it just like rains light pillars down, and it just destroyed me immediately. So kind of knew what I was in for, but yeah, I mean it's a 10. I can say that confidently.
Wow.
It's yeah.
So this is, I know we usually don't use DLC as like game of the year candidates,
Yeah.
but this is probably your game of the year so far.
It's my game of the year so far. I will fight with you to let me include it in game of the year conversations, because if I don't know what I'm going to even talk about. I'm not playing games at a clip this year, much like I have been. My children get in the way, but I had to make time for this one, and I think I probably took me about 25, 30, I would say, hours
Okay.
total.
Yeah, that's
it's hard to
about
say
right.
because the clock just runs from my base game. But I did finish it at level 206,
Wow.
maybe. So super high level. Did all this. I didn't get every Skidoo tree fragment, but whenever I found them, I used them. So I encourage everybody to do that. Don't be a tryhard. There's no, unless if you really want to prove it to yourself, I guess. Yeah. So. Felt bad deleting it off my cross media bar though. Like that's
yeah.
for sure. So I don't know. It's a tough one to like. It's like I would love to go back and play a new build and all that stuff, but like that's such a crazy thing to say with how much that game is an investment of. It's maybe a game that when I become a curmudgeon old man, and I'm like 60 years old, and modern day gaming is stupid, and I go, oh, I can pop in Elden Ring and do another couple runs.
Go back to when gaming was good.
Yeah. And so I did that. Should I go into my next couple games as well? Or do you have questions, or I just want to make sure I'm not flying through this?
I was just gonna so where do we go from here? Like, is From Software, is their next bet a sequel to this game?
I don't think it should be. Personally, I think FromSoft is still like one of the greatest qualities of From Software is their connected world structure. Dark Souls 1 pulled it off amazingly. Bloodborne did it too. So I would not be upset at all with them going back to... I mean, my dream, Bloodborne 2 would be my dream.
Right.
I could see a Sekiro 2 before I see them going back to Elden Ring 2. But I do think they're going to do a sequel to something. It's not time to pull out another new IP. I would imagine they're going to staff up, continue to just keep staffing up. That is still, in my opinion, the best developer in the world. So why not do that and see if you can get a couple projects going at the same time? But I would like them to go back to, I mean, Bloodborne 2 would be ideal. I'd even take a Dark Souls 4, even though that's kind of what this is. But let's bounce away from the open world for a second. Just give me some really cool worlds to explore. Keep it a little more tighter. Because like that is, you know, as you go longer into the game and you collect more things and all these items that you pick up and different weapons, and it gets a little overwhelming to the point where it's like maybe a little bit more focus would benefit you guys. It's incredibly impressive that you have the amount of ways you can approach the game, but you know, there's something also beautiful about Sekiro where it's just like, here's your sword, you figure it out. You know, you might be able to employ different techniques or get different things on your arm, but like at the end of the day, you're not leveling up. You just have to beat this boss. So I think both techniques work, and that's why they're my favorite developer, because they only do 10s, man. You know, except for Armored Core, that wasn't my thing. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting though. They've kind of have shown what they can do, and so there will be people disappointed with them if they come back with that, not an open world with the next game. I don't know what they do. I don't have to worry about it. I just gotta play it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting whatever's announced, I'm sure. I think, I don't know. Either they go to a new game because it has a different way to play, like kind of like Sekiro was, like a third person, what they're good at, of course, but a different way to play in a vein of Sekiro. I could see a new IP like that, but if not, going to one of their...
How is it not Bloodborne 2? How is it not I mean, I know Sony owns it, so there's that, but God,
whatever. I mean, they have whatever they want to do gets funded. So
for sure.
For sure. Yeah, it'll be curious how soon if we can get if come December we find out what their next project is, at least the name.
Yeah, I mean, how much of FromSoft's entire development team were needed for Shadow of the Erdtree? Like, was it most of them, or was it like 50-50, and like that's why it took 2 years to make? And then they have something cooking, and in a year and a half we're going to get it? I sure hope so, but...
Yeah, I mean, their output has been heavy, over the last couple of years.
They've always
two
been good at
games
that,
and a giant DLC, so it might be a minute, but I wouldn't be shocked if we got at least, they're good about like weird trailers with just the name,
Yeah.
So
Sekiro trailer.
Yep. So, all right, yeah. What's up next?
All right, and then so in my ever-ending quest to make my backlog less, and after finishing up Shadow of the Erdtree and kind of wanting a little more chill experience, I thought, let's give another crack at that Diablo 4 boy. Let's see how that's working out. And so, I made a new character, went with a necromancer just because I had a sorcerer going, but I just wanted to start fresh, and I never messed around with necromancers, which I think was like Diablo 2's big class.
Yep.
So I thought, let's give that a shot, and it's a great game, man. I mean, it's fun. It's if you know Diablo, it does all of that very effectively. It's fun to get new powers and all that good stuff and see how your playstyle is going to vary up. But I did get to level 25 and uninstalled the game.
Quick question though, because you played it before, and I know since I last played it back in December, they've kind of revamped the loot. Like they've done their loot reborn. It was tied to the new season and all that. Did you notice any difference?
No. No. But like I think a lot of the way that these games are designed is more that stuff more affects endgame type shit. Right. Where it's like, so to backstep a little bit. So it's like I got to level 25 and I just had a night where I wasn't really jonesing to play it, and I did a 2-hour session and I got done with it, and I was like, all right, I got some more rare weapons, and I finally got my first legendary, and I was pumped, right? You see the fucking beam.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling. It's a ring, which is also cool because I like, like I can still got my weapons, and it was specialized in a skill I don't use, and I haven't built up, and so I just like had this very deflated feeling of like, what am I even doing? Like, why even continue to push where the dopamine hits I'm looking for aren't even dopamining me, because it's just, it's the luck of the draw, and that's what Diablo is. And again, I think like the Loot Reborn stuff, that does factor in probably in a great way, but for the end game players, for the people who is like,
sure.
I just want to min-max, I want to get my perfect build, I'm looking for this specific thing, this specific loadout, and I'm just not there anymore with that type of stuff. When I first tried to play Diablo 4, I did the route that worked for me with Elden Ring, where I was, let's go find a guide, find the best build, stick to that maybe, and then that'll allow me to, get the most out of this game, or at least have a pretty sweet build with it. And I didn't enjoy doing it that way. It just felt like I was ignoring everything else on the skill tree, and so I went in with this one going, I'm just going to pick and do the things that look good to me. And I did enjoy that more, but it did just get to the point where it's like, okay, I've been using this move with square and this move with R1 and this move with circle and whatever for a while now. Do I respec and just switch it up to give myself some variety, or do I just keep barreling through and hoping I find just higher numbers? And I was still in Act 1, and you specifically told me, like, dude, like, you think that map's big, like it's just going to reset again, and here's Act 2's map, now here's Act 3's map, and I just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it was low cost of entry. I bought it off you for $20. I can probably go sell it for 12 and, move on with my life. Diablo is not for me anymore. And so, okay, now I'm on the hunt for games, right, Nick? Now I'm like, what am I going to play next? I know Astrobot's on the horizon. What else is in my backlog? So I was like, Psychonauts 2. There's another one, right? That's another game I've had for a while. I've enjoyed. I've started it probably 2 or 3 times. I enjoyed what it was. And it's a old school type of game, right? It definitely feels like a PS2 style platforming game with like a core group of characters with some, here's your set of abilities. Here's this level. You go in. There's these thing called figments of your imagination. You collect them throughout the level. They level you up. You might find there's like, that's one of the coolest things about this game is it really plays around with the idea of your mind, right? Where it's like you're in this level and
the levels are crazy. I remember in the first game.
Yeah, and like you'll go and you'll hear something. And you're like, what the hell is that? And you go over and it's a crying piece of luggage. And it's like, oh, this is emotional baggage. And you're like, oh, that's so cute and clever. And and then you can find tags and you can bring them to the emotional baggage, and you found the 2 of the level, and it's a good feeling and all that. But again, similarly, I just wasn't feeling the loop where it's like go into level, collect all these things, probably struggle a little bit with some of the enemy encounters that you're doing. Again, this is not a knock of the quality. Both Diablo 4 and Psychonauts 2, very high quality games.
Does Psychonauts 2 have combat? I don't even remember.
Oh yeah. And that's like one of the weird best parts of the game. So like you go into the combat and all the enemies are based on bad things in your mind as well. So like doubt or I can't think of any other ones, but like. Yeah, so L1 I had an attack that would like grow a orb of fire, and when you let it go, it lights things on fire. And I had like a basic shooty shoot, right? Where pew, 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 pew. You could do it that. You could hold L2 and you hover on a ball that lets you move faster, but you can run into other enemies. Telepathy, which lets me pick up things and throw them at them, like kind of like control. So it had a lot of variety with that. But as I'm sure you in the audience could probably pick up now, I did not stick with this one either, just because I wasn't feeling the loop. There's something weird about I don't like the character designs. It's like it's meant to be intentionally kind of off-putting, I think, and just wasn't in the right headspace for that. And it also has this kind of vibe where I don't know specifically. I feel like it's going for a specific vibe, like 1960s espionage type
Right,
something.
yes.
I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it also isn't my vibe. So I didn't delete this one off, but I was like, I don't want to play you right now.
You playing on PlayStation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, playing on PlayStation. Yeah, because I played it on Game Pass, and I liked it so much that it was on sale for, I think, 15 or 20, and I bought it. I just haven't made my whole way through it yet. So I put that one down, and then now I'm back on the hunt, Nick. I'm hunting for games. I don't know what to play. I weirdly am reading a lot, and I'm like, maybe I should just read some books. I finished Dune, which was great, but I decided to approach another long-standing backlog game, and this one is hitting as of now. I am interested. I want to go home and continue it, but it's not like John's normal gameplay-focused games, and it's Danganronpa 2.
All games would fall.
Goodbye Despair. So this is the sequel to a Japanese visual novel game where you kind of, like, if you're familiar with the OG Battle Royale, Japanese book / movie, where you take all these kids, you put them in an unfamiliar spot with one another, and effectively they got to kill one another. There's more to it than that, right? You can escape out of the situation if you're able to kill one of your classmates and get away with it after a trial scenario. We've talked about it on the show, but Nick and I both played Danganronpa 1. Nick loved it so much he went right into the second one. It's one of my greatest moments of our friendship where I recommended it to him thinking he was just going to laugh at me and go, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot stick. Comes into work after beating it, goes, dude, I fucking loved it. I was like, yes, we're one and the same.
It was that opening trial, man.
Yeah.
The first trial of the first game is excellent.
Yeah.
I was just thrown for a curve.
Well, and it's like you enter this game, and like it's a fun game for me to share with friends who aren't into video games. Look what I'm playing right now, and they'll be like, "You're a fucking idiot." But like it subverts your expectations so well. Where you go into this, it's all bright, it's colorful, and this one specifically, you're on a beach vacation area, and I don't think this is a spoiler because, again, I just kind of gave you the synopsis. But yeah, and then shit goes off the rails quickly, right? And then you're kind of just in this like, holy fuck, like what's going to be the next thing? What's going to be the next thing? You're hit with this amazing music. I forgot how much I loved the music of the first one. And just you're kind of along for this ride with very minimalistic gameplay things, right? You can hit a button, it shows everything on the screen you can interact with, and that's really all you're kind of doing. But eventually you'll do a little bit of detective work to see who perhaps killed the person or did not kill the person or whatever. Yep. And so yeah, and it's a perfect Portal game. That's another one, another reason that I've just kind of like latched onto it because I finally ran the Ethernet cable to my PlayStation. I put it into static IP mode. And my Portal runs amazingly now. So like that is something I probably should have brought to the show. Yeah, do the right things with your Portal, folks. It'll make the best bit of difference. But so yeah, so I'm there now, man. If I can stick with it, I'm hoping I can because I got a month and some change to fill until Astrobot. Good probably amount of a game to get through, and I just didn't expect that like the non-gameplay focused thing would be what I'm feeling now, but it kind of makes sense based on what I'm into reading. I'm into a little bit slower paced right now, and my kids are taking out so much of me. Levi's playing baseball here and there. My daughters are 2.5 running my life. So I think a little slower pace is doing well for me right now.
Yeah, well, do you also think it has something to do, like you just said, I just got done with a 10 out of 10 gaming experience that you try to chase that high, and it's like nothing is as good as what I just ate,
The Ragnarok effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that, honestly, and I can remember that happening with both God of Wars and Hades specifically. I'm like, nothing feels this good.
Right.
What the fuck? So yeah, that's so maybe a little Monokuma palate cleanser is just what I need.
Yeah, I'll be interested if you stick with it.
Yeah, for those, Monokuma was a contestant in our battle royale. He lost in the first round, I think. But
yeah, he did. But not too many people familiar with him. So.
Yeah, so if you're somebody who just listened to me for the last 10 minutes, go, what the fuck are you talking about? Look up Danganronpa. And you'll see immediately the type of thing it is. Yeah, but it's like 86 on Open. These are good games, right? So don't look at that. That would be my one thing. Don't look at it and go, no, fuck that. Like if you like violent stories, right? These teenagers are dropping F-bombs. This isn't some cutesy anime bullshit. It's anime as shit, but it's there's murder happening, there's drama, there's cool characters. Like, that's one of the awesome things too, is that every kid in this is an ultimate, right? And so,
right. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
This is a special school of the best of the best, right? So in this game, there's an ultimate mechanic, and there's an ultimate athlete, and there's an ultimate affluent prodigy who's just like, he's just getting inherited a bunch of money. There's the ultimate gamer, and so you kind of just get a very specific personality trait with 16 different people, which obviously is going to factor into the trials and things like that. But it's just a very unique, one of a kind type of thing that, I'm glad I'm doing it right now, and we'll see if that, because I know neither of us have even purchased Danganronpa 3.
Yeah, I bought it.
Oh, you did buy it?
Yeah, I just never got
maybe
it.
I can get you to kind of get the itch, and after Astrobot and Star Wars Outlaws, where you're just kind of like, I need a breather of something weird. Maybe you go into that. So
yeah.
So that's what I've been playing, Nick. I've been my typical I don't know what to do phase, but I think I finally found something.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. It feels like the summer malaise, right? There's just nothing gonna catch you, and
it's just you get a little bit more pulled to go outside. You get a little we live here in the Midwest, and so we don't get nice weather all the time,
right?
Or shitty weather all the time. So it's just this time of year, gaming takes a little bit of a slowdown.
Yeah. Usually there's not a big release, but Elden Ring had to say otherwise. So yeah, and just thought like I'm in the same boat. On my end, I just went back and platinum Stellar Blade. Got my 40th platinum.
Pervert.
And my 6th platinum of the year. And
God, I feel like I've won. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you get any this year?
I don't want to talk about it. I cannot talk about it without crying.
Yeah, exactly. Every year, I have my most anticipated games, and what I love kind of more than the ones that I want to hit, like Final Fantasy Rebirth, is the surprises that come out of nowhere. And it's like Dave the Diver, Animal Well, and now Stellar Blade are just these great games that are just really good and just really hitting that sweet spot. And so, yeah, I was really close to getting that platinum in Stellar Blade. All I have to do is play through the game again. And when you're just rushing through
you can rush through it.
When you're rushing through it, you're just like, it doesn't take very long. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to knock it out. Though, unfortunately, I did miss out. They're doing a limited time event right now where you can get some sweet bathing suits. I missed out on that, but
that's all right. I saw your phone background.
That is not on my phone background. But just shift up, man. Like, first game, just a really solid third-person action game. That
Stellar Blade 2 is going to be like that Assassin's Creed 2. It's going to be that jump.
Yeah, it's going to probably be an amazing game. There's only a few really flaws. Is change up the gameplay a little bit more, like especially in the open world sections. You need a vehicle of some kind.
Yeah.
Because it just sucks.
You just approach it full open world, perhaps. Where you have a way to traverse better and.
Yeah, and I think like if it could do like some kind of like stances, kind of like Ghost of Tsushima or Jedi Survivor, just different weapons and different ways to play. I think that's.
I mean, you could even do a thing, right? Like, I would imagine Eve's story is not continuing. I don't know what they're gonna do there, but like. You could just
no spoilers, but they do set up a way for a sequel.
Do they? Okay. But you could have I could see a thing where these are technically androids, right? So you can play as a couple different ones, right? Where they each have different play styles. One's the heavy brute one. One's a light, nimble, agile one. Yeah. You could go that route.
Yeah.
Should be cool.
Yeah. Well, again, John got the worst ending, so he doesn't. He doesn't know what the the best ending happens. But yeah, they definitely set up a way for a sequel. And from the gameplay, the art direction, that cyberpunk feel, I talked about this when I reviewed the game a few weeks ago. Is just like when I got to Zion, I was like, holy shit, this is a cyberpunk game.
That lady doesn't have a body,
right?
How do I move the body?
It's an interesting story, interesting.
Did you catch
world.
that? Did you catch what I just said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He's just letting the I think you should leave jokes fly right now, folks.
Yep, I'm tired. I'm feeling goofy.
I stick to like what I said. I think this game is a 9 out of 10. I think it's that good. so for again expectations for a your freshman debut game,
Yeah.
PlayStation exclusive, it hits everything, and
Yeah.
and the costumes and all that, they're great and all too. So
I'm definitely curious to see what friend of the show Nick thinks about it. Like, I feel like he's gonna love. Like, this is a him kind of game.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, it's just combat feels great. The parry system, the dodge, the blink dodge, and everything's just
holding triangle and dashing right into a guy and then just fuck you up. It's good stuff.
yeah. It's just again, I like John was obviously more high on this game than I was leading up to its release. That I'm surprised when I got it. I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
this is
because I think
great.
I gave it an 8.
Yeah,
You liked it more.
I did like it more. So yeah, I'm always excited for a game to catch my eye that I wasn't expecting, and Stellar Blade fit the bill. So
Dave the Diver.
Dave the Diver.
I do have one platinum this year, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Bro-tato, man.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Whoops.
So you're at 49,
48.
48, and I'm at 40. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're both gonna have an Astrobot Platinum. That's for sure.
That's true. That's for sure.
So we'll get a.
I almost feel like I should get a bullshit one now so that Astro can be 50.
Well,
Danganronpa 2 is probably some sort of guide I can follow, but you might have to play it twice.
right.
Who knows?
Yeah. Trying to remember what the trophies were like, but
Jumping Taco.
I don't know. Just find it. You just need to find like an indie game. I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
knock
I just
one
need to
out.
load in Far Cry 4 and play a co-op match with somebody.
You'll have to schedule a playtime with
Oh,
somebody.
yeah. You got to go deep into the forums.
But that's kind of it, and I'm kind of in the same boat as like I don't feel like trying Balatro.
Well, that's silly.
I go through the store and I'm just like, I don't know. Like I was looking at High in Life for a second, but I was like, that didn't review very well, so I don't want to spend my money on it.
Yeah.
And
And that seems like an extra game in the future. Or plus.
essential.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll just stare at the store.
Yeah. I mean, you should play Balatro, but make sure you're in the mood to.
Right.
Also, they
right.
are working on a phone version of it, and like that would weirdly be the perfect phone game. Yeah, man, and I have Rebirth still. Like, I mean, I'm staring at that, so I'm trying to. I don't want to start it now.
Right.
I'm not going to beat it in a month.
Right.
So maybe right after Astrobot, that might be Rebirth time because. Yeah, I don't know what I would buy after Astrobot this year. Like, I don't
feel bad for you.
Well, what are you buying after Astrobot? I mean, yeah, Star Wars is before.
Yeah, Star Wars. I'm looking at things.
Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, that could be good.
Yeah.
The Life is Strange game.
Yeah. So it's not a fall meant for
Dragon
me.
Age.
Yeah.
That's going to be big.
Yeah, it's
So
not a fall for me, I think.
Yeah,
Which is okay.
Yeah, I went to GameStop and pre-ordered Star Wars and Astrobot. So
No,
I'm definitely looking forward to
Go back
that.
and pre-order that controller.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Can you use? I'm sure you can use your store credit on direct stuff, right? Because I have $20.
Ooh, great question.
I
I don't know.
I'm assuming you can. Like any gift card, you should be a PSN gift card. You should probably
use a PSN gift card.
let us know, Google.
PlayStation. PlayStation.
But yeah, I mean, we're 4 weeks away from Outlaws, so I got to find something to play.
It just says answer. Yes, it can. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice to find a game between now and Star Wars, but we'll see.
Balatro, idiot.
Maybe. You're not playing it right now.
No, I only played it for about 60 hours.
Oh, you did?
Let's see. Let's check. Let's see.
60 hours? Because it seemed like that game came and went. Like, you talked about that game and then it never came up again. So
How do I look at this?
I don't think you can on the app.
All right, I'll report back. No, but this was one of those games where I would just not tell you that I'm filling in an hour of my night with it. Here's 45 minutes of my night with it. Yeah.
Shame. Just like you play Rocket League still.
Yeah, I do. I played last night. It was horrible.
I did play Overwatch 2. That was something. Just to go back.
No, maybe talk about it next week. I thought about that too. I was like, oh yeah, it's free. Like, why not? But,
No. Yeah. I'd rather play. I really want to play a real game, but it's just like you said, it's just
Ooh.
when nothing's grabbing you.
Here's a good little PSA for little fans out there. But if you have not yet purchased a PSVR 2, they are $200 off right now.
Yeah, they are.
Nick asked me if I was buying one. Unfortunately, I have to go on a family vacation, so I don't have the liquidity to do it. But yeah, and even PS5s are on sale right now for $50 off. So can't imagine there's a single person listening to us that does not have one. But
all right. Well, let's go. Let's walk it back. Let's go to PSVR 2 first.
Oh, okay. We're gonna talk about this, huh? I just wanted to make it.
So if you didn't have your trip, you would have bought this?
Probably not. I'm probably just. I'm
okay.
Probably not.
Okay. It's yeah, like you said, it's $200 off right now. $350.
I don't know
USD.
because like that PC adapter's coming out soon. So like that's the thing. And if I can play,
yeah, but you don't have a PC that can run that thing.
Yeah, not Alex at least, which would be the reason. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. It's hard to justify. It really is. Like I wish I didn't have to think about it so much.
Right.
You know, because like I still would like to get a wheel and play Gran Turismo, but like now I'm like, is that even worth it to spend $700 to just play Gran Turismo? That's stupid.
Well, you were excited about Behemoth and the Aliens game.
Yeah. See how they review.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, if it's $200 off, it might be $300 off in a year.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge price cut. I mean, it's
just a sale, right? Yeah, it's until the 6th, apparently.
Huh.
It says valid today through, the 6th. So for the next week.
Okay.
Also, you can get the black PS5 covers for $10 off.
And now let's go back to the $50 off PlayStations right now.
Yeah.
The comment you made to me earlier, not on the air, was getting ready for the PlayStation Pro reveal.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
burning through that extra stock.
Yeah. Do you think that?
I think that's.
You're doubling down on that?
I'm doubling down on that. I think you're doubling down on that. I'm going to double down for you on that. Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. All these rumors about it, clear out a little bit of stock that you have left. I mean, I'm sure they had dates in line, like, okay, we'll keep the full price until this point, then that leaves us 2 months until Pro launch. Cut the price $50 at that point, reduce stock even more. Makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm a believer in the Pro, so yeah.
So now let's go to DEF CON level. How close are we to this thing being announced?
I'm still thinking that September event.
The state of play they always have in
I'm gonna
September?
say September 20-ish.
Well, the hardware is different because that could always be just a blog post.
It could just show up, yeah.
And then you talk about the games at a future state of play.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what would be more pop if you announce the console, get people hyped for it, and then show Ghost of Tsushima 2 at the thing, or like you just do it all in one. Hey man, you know, you end the show towards the end of the show, like, hey, hardware announcement, PS5 Pro is available. And you can play this on it. And then you cue to Ghost of Tsushima 2, show off how, oh my God, how does that look so good? Right. And then and then you should throw the date out and everybody's happy. I think that's the move.
Okay. Well,
I'm still CEO of PlayStation.
We've talked about a lot about 2 Sony exclusives here. I mean, are we going to get a state of play before Concord comes out? Because then that also throws off your September.
No, I don't think you get a state of play for Concord. I don't even think you get a state of play for Astro. I think they're both known quantities. Again, Sony, I don't think their goal is to push 5 million launch units of Concord. I think they know that's not going to happen. Do we really need to put in the effort to make a state of play? The people who are going to play Concord are already there. We've had a beta. What are we going to tell people? So I think you just kind of let it go. And then Astrobot is a game that is going to be in the 90s. I guarantee you that. And part of the charm and wonderfulness of it is just the sense of surprise. So keep that one under wraps too. I think you hold it all. You go out end of September, and we can...
yeah, we do. I mean, we do have Gamescom coming in 3 weeks. It's the lesser of the Keighley events, opening night live. It'll probably be European focus because it's in Germany. But PlayStation is big over there too, so there's potential for those games to show up there too. So, but yeah, I'm thinking you're right. September,
do it all. Show us Ghost of Tsushima 2. Show us Blue Point, please. Naughty Dog. They got. Yeah, it's time.
Yeah, I mean they got to sell if they want to sell a PlayStation 4 Pro. They got to have a reason to, and what these games will look like and run that on this.
Yeah, I would guarantee this if they show the Pro there, Ghost of Tsushima 2. I'm maybe even Naughty Dog has something ready to show. I don't know.
Yeah, we're just waiting for that Uncharted 5 announcement from Sony Bend.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, okay. Yeah, it's interesting times. I again, news season of June stopped. And then now, with Gamescom, and then again, Nintendo and Sony for the last 2 years has had a September showcase focused on, their fall lineups that it would be interesting.
Nick, if you want the Marvel Spider-Man 2 Collector's Edition, it's $70 off right now. You can get that massive Venom statue.
Yeah.
What did they say? What did PR say? 19 inches of Venom?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
Yeah. So, something highly suggestive.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's it. I mean, we talked our ass off again.
Yep.
As we typically do here, even with John not prepping for the show.
I'm not gonna anymore. I don't need to.
Right.
What's the point?
Show's better when I don't prep. But yeah,
get myself distracted with my dumb writings.
Yeah. Okay.
So what are you playing, Nick?
What next? My next game?
Yeah.
Yeah, for teases for this show. I don't know, man.
If I give you $15, will you buy Balatro?
I have a $20 gift card. I can pull the trigger on that if I want. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever's, it was fun going to GameStop and getting that energy. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have 2 games to play in 4 weeks from now. But it's hard to.
You don't have any big backlog games, right? Huh?
I mean, I could play like Danganronpa 3, or
nothing
go
else
back to Dredge or Hi-Fi Rush. I got those
I forgot how much
games.
you hated Hi-Fi Rush.
They're still installed on my system, so I stare at them and I go,
Pentiment.
yeah. I don't know. Like I said, something will come to me.
Always does.
Oh, maybe I'll have a show like John where I just tried like 6 games and then dropped them. I keep, I've added like essential games for years now, and then just go back through them and just maybe find something.
Yeah.
But it's so hard.
But also, like we say every once in a while, take a break, whatever. Read a book, catch up on some movies, some shows, and then hit Astrobot with I am hungry for some games right now, or in your case, Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm eyeing some very big games. Outlaws is going to probably be a 50-hour game into whatever Dragon Age into Assassin's Creed Shadow. So maybe it is just time to take a break and read.
Yeah, it's fun. Read Dune. I just finished it. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in Dune now. Now I can go past the movies. I'm excited.
Yeah, maybe I'll try that.
And I can talk to Drew.
Yeah.
Another coworker of ours.
Yeah, John likes to do this podcast like it's only for people we know. He doesn't think that we talk about an audience.
When we have an audience, Nick, besides Mark and Jesse,
He's frustrating.
Write into our show, and then I'll believe. And then I will believe.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. All right. So going into the song, we might as well bring a Danganronpa song since we're talking about it.
Nice. I was hoping you would do that.
Like John mentioned, the soundtrack's amazing. But we're gonna go with the theme song, "Never Say Never" by Masafumi Takada from all the Danganronpas and the anime it was in. So enjoy the song, and yeah, we'll be back next week with something. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll take another week off. If you write in. And then
now's the time to send in emails about anything. We'll talk about it.
Prove me wrong.
So. All right. So again, we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Later.
Reality slips far away, fiction comes alive, we start to play. Hope is no more behind the closed door as we drift away from where we were before. Hope and hopelessness become one, it's all meaningless, we've already begun. Yup, we are all one and the same, never opposites, we play the same game.
Walk the line between hope and despair, running from the truth but it's already here. Told so many lies, I don't know if they can find me. Only one life to live, so choose wisely. Heads or tails, even though the side you're on doesn't really matter if it's on the same point. If you want to achieve, you gotta believe the time right now, there's the door, is the key.
Play the